welcome to the Magic Mirror. Today it's going to be about Final Fantasy that came out in 1987. I have played all of the Final Fantasy games, so warning spoilers for all of the games and all of the movies and also the anime show that I will talk about a little later on. But first I will go through the games and then the movies and so on. So yeah, without further ado, here we go. So first of all, I would like to talk about Final Fantasy X-2 or X2 or how it's called with Riku, Lulu and Yuna, and I was just really disappointed about this game. It wasn't my cup of tea. I completed it out of spite because I was just like, I traded in my Final Fantasy 9 and 10 and I really regretted it because first it lured me in with okay, it looks like the other games, but then there was the cutscenes with the women changing clothes and them being almost naked, and I was just like, no, I'm done with that. I don't like that kind of stuff. But yeah, if it's your cup of tea, I think that would be an awesome game. It's beautiful, and when you don't change your clothes that much, it's actually a okay game. It's just really hard. I think it took me hours to complete that one because it was just so painful, and I got a guide and I got everything with the game, but still, even that I had that, I think there was things with the game that I didn't like. I loved the cutscenes and I actually liked the story. So yeah, that was something that I liked about the games, but I would have rather not traded in my 8, 9 and 10 and still played those. So yeah, but we will move forward with 8, 9 and 10, and the games I'm going to talk about most here is 9 and 10 because that's the ones that I remember most from. I also played a lot of Final Fantasy VII and some of the older Final Fantasies where there are more RPG. Well, they're still RPG, but it's more free open world, or how to say that now. So yeah, and I tried some of the newer Final Fantasy game, and I was just this is not what I wanted. I wanted more something that looked like 8, 9, and 10. So yeah, 9 was definitely my favorite of all of the Final Fantasy ones because you had the different characters, you had your summons, you have your summons in all of the games, but I just really like the summons in this one, summoning Bahamut or summoning Odin, and just going on to it. Maybe it's in Final Fantasy 9 now I'm thinking about it, but I just love the cutscenes and the stories from 9 and 10. So yeah, and I think they fit together. Something I really enjoyed was the specific moves and the way that you had the choice between all of these different characters, and later on you could open up for a secret character. In 8 I think, or in 9 I think it was Beatrix, and in 10 I think it was somebody else. I don't remember the small girl name, but yeah, I really enjoyed all of the games. Something I really used a lot of time on was the riding the Kobo or Chocobo in this case, and trying to find all of the treasures. And it took me a while, but I actually completed all of that, believe it or not. Sadly, my save game or my old game were deleted, so I can't show it here, but yeah, I will show something else from the games later on. But yeah, something I also really used a lot of time on was the bosses in the game, and this is one of the things that I really loved about Final Fantasy, or still love with Final Fantasy, is the boss battles. like the bosses are intimidating, they're like really strong, and it's almost impossible to complete some of the bosses. And I have my two favorite bosses here, even though like Sin was a little bit weird to go through or come to, or how to say that. Kojaya will always be one of my favorite villains in a video game, because like he's just insane, and the last final form of him is just like awesome, and the music from that, I just remember coming to it and I was just like actually sitting in my chair shivering, and my mom came in and said to me like, you're done for today, like save your game and like do something else, because like this is too much for you. But yeah, I remember some of the cutscenes from it, and I still remember like running around with Vivi, or doing stuff in Final Fantasy X with like Lulu or Yuna or Titus. I'm going to call them their original names, because I know like you could change your names on to your characters in both games, but I always went with the game names, or how to say that. I only changed it one time, but yeah, I think like that's also a fun thing to do. Something I really thought was a little bit annoying from the Final Fantasy game was the materia and how to put materia on it, because like in old days we didn't have the internet to look up, and you just put your materia where you thought it was good. And I remember like playing the newer Final Fantasy, and even though that I had a guide and we had sort of kind of the internet, it was still something that was really hard to do for me, or how to say that. So I felt like that was a little bit complicated, and some of the storylines in the games didn't make any sense, with for example finding frogs as the man that eats stuff, or how to say that, or what he is. I don't remember, or what she is. But yeah, there was just so many of the storylines that took a lot of time, and where you're just wondering if the game were ever going to come back to the original stuff that was going on. But let's move on to the movies. I actually enjoy both of these movies. I think like the one that is more animated, or how to say that, has the storyline that I want from a Final Fantasy movie. But both movies are beautiful. I think both movies is something that you can sit down and watch. If you're not a Final Fantasy fan, I think like you will think like the same as I'm saying right now. They're both beautiful. They have a good story. They have awesome music, as the game has. So yeah, I am really pleasantly surprised we have like all of this stuff. Something they should do was remake Final Fantasy games for the PlayStation, so we could have that, because like I would love to play Final Fantasy again on my PlayStation, or how to say that, or if I could get a PlayStation, that would be something that I would yeah stand in line for and get if it came out. But yeah, I really enjoyed everything that Final Fantasy had to offer, and Final Fantasy had molded me since I was young, and there's just a lot of things. Something I didn't know about was the anime show. I actually recently just started watching that, and I think like it upholds the game, or how to say that. It goes through a lot of the same things as the game, and I love just some of the characters, for example Lulu or Aaron and Tidus and Dagger, and I called him Wolf, but I think his original name was Cloud, and then Tidus. I just have a special heart or nostalgia for the gameplay and the storylines of Final Fantasy 9 and 10, because like that was just something that was really beautiful, and something that I had near and dear to my heart. And of course, Vivi was the character that we all fell in love with and wanted to have everything good going for him, and like finding all of the items and completing the game and going through all of that stuff with your characters also made the game really special. And like I think like there's a lot of stuff to go through. So if you haven't played Final Fantasy, again, I will recommend all of the Final Fantasy games, but you could go for my favorites or you could go for whatever games you want. I think like it's not necessarily that you take them in order, but if you want to have a consistent story and you want to have just some things that makes a little sense, maybe like take them like 7, 8, 9, 10 and then stop because I don't like 10 2, or like play 10 2 just for the storyline. But yeah, that was actually all for the Magic Mirror today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Do remember that inspiration is right around the corner. Do remember to take care of yourself and loved ones. And that's actually all. Yeah, okay, bye.